Good afternoon, you handsome lot. We've got a 2014 Ford Kuga 2-litre TDCi, which has got a little bit of a DPF problem. Should we have a little look at the fault codes? Now, to carry out this diagnostic test, what we're going to be using is a SmartSafe Launch DL1. Now, I've already plugged the computer into the DL16, put the ignition on. As you can hear it bonging away in the background, just doing me head in. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a high-speed scan on it. Now, this thing is absolutely unreal. Shut up, bonging. This does me head. Should we shut the door? Yeah, that's it. Shut the door. Right, now what we're going to do first is create a report for the vehicle. Save that so we've got a pre-repair and also a post-repair when we've carried out our repairs, obviously. We jump round to the PCM. We've got vehicle conditions incorrect, particulate filter regeneration and particulate filter restriction, soot accumulation, bank 1. Now, through past experience on these, what we need to look at is particulate filter pressure, and the DPF soot load. If we go, oh, hang on, what have we done? And also RPM, engine RPM. Put them into some data now. We start the engine. Drop that one down to HPA. And if we have a little look now on tick over, now the pressure on these Fords are going up in increments of 10. So that 10 to 20, it could be 15 millibars at tick over, if you get me. Can you see it? Now if we hold it at 2000 RPM, we need to be seeing around about 80-ish, 90 millibars. So if we go, come on, focus, 3000 RPM. At the top there, we've got 107, 170, 170 millibars. So this DPF is blocked. Why is it blocked? Now, normally on these Fords, when it come up with a fault code of conditions not met for regeneration, is normally 99.9% of the time because of the vaporizer that's blocked. Now, what the vaporizer does, it injects fuel into the exhaust to get it up to temperature to be able to burn that soot out of that DPF. Now, if it's blocked, no fuel can get through. Therefore, this doesn't get up to temperature and it causes problems. So what we're going to be doing is removing the fuel line just on the left hand side here, and we're going to be putting a little Medevac on it and checking to see if it's not blocked or it is blocked. But to do it, to make it a little bit easier for yourself, there is a cross member that goes from one side of the car to the other, held on with a few bolts, which is there. And I also like to use a bit of a cable tie, a bit of a ratchet strap to pull that exhaust over. And be careful that you don't damage your flexi, which allows you to get your hand up there without faffing about. Now, what I have to do now is do a voiceover because the chap next to me has got the Hoover on the burn and I can't hear a thing. So all I'm doing is just connecting the vaporizer, the Medevac up to the vaporizer, to the fuel side of it. And what I'm doing now is pulling the vacuum on it, and as you can see by the needle itself, it is holding a vacuum, so that vaporizer is fully blocked. You just remove it, the vacuum drops straight down. And the same applies here as well. What I've had to do is get the gas axe on it and give that vaporizer just that tiny little bit of heat, because it is very, very tight. And what normally happens on these, they do pull the thread, so please be careful with them. Get your 22 mil now on the vaporizer and just slack it off while it's nice and hot. Now what I'm going to be doing, getting a little bit of heat on it. Now, because it is a little bit noisy, I am going to be doing a little bit of a voiceover for you once again. Now, the tip of this vaporizer gets heavily carboned up, and what we need to do is get it absolutely glowing red hot. And with the airline that's in the left hand, you can just go ahead now, apply a little bit of pressure, and you will see it unblocking. And there we have it. After a little bit of fire on it, just heat that vaporizer up right at the end, get it glowing red. You can now see that is unblocked. Let's get it fitted back to the vehicle. Now with that vaporizer back in the exhaust, as you can see, and everything's nice and tight, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a bit of a clean with some Launch DPF cleaner. Now this stuff is absolutely insane. It goes before the DPF foams up and it brings all that soot out with it. Now one bottle, just 2 cars. It's absolutely insane. Now once you've injected it into the DPF, some might splurge back out on you, but don't panic. Just leave it settle before you put that DPF pressure pipe back on, because you don't want any fluid going up towards the sensor. You see it? Just leave that now for a couple of minutes, let it settle down. Now after it's settled down, go ahead then and put your DPF pressure pipe back on. Now we can drop the car down and get it started. Now we've got that vehicle back down, we're going to get on the key or button, give it a big start, and we're going to put all the data into a graph. We're going to hold it at 2000 RPM, and you should see the pressure of the DPF falling. But you need to hold it about 3000 RPM. Once it's worked this magic, you will see it dropping down. It's going to take a bit of a while, but it will come down. Actually, I'll record it and then I'll show it you back. Right, now after we've cleaned that DPF, switch it off, go around to special functions, PCM service functions, reset the diesel particulate learned, carry out the service function. The diesel particulate has been installed. All it does is just reset the DPF. And then once you've reset the DPF learned values, you can go ahead and clear the fault codes. All I'm going to do now is take it down the road for a little spinaroonie with some live data and see what's going on. Right, now here's a little bit of live data for you. Now I don't know why, but it's put it into kPa. 20 kPa is 200 millibars, so it's going to be starting off at the top here at 2000, 3000. The orange one is the RPM and the blue one is the DPF pressure. So we're just under 3000 RPM and we're at 200, well, 20 kPa, which is 200 millibars. If I scroll it across now, you will see the graph falling, and you can also see where I'm revving it. The pressure's building and it's dropping back down nice and healthily, and at the bottom it finalises it off on tick over at 0. Now if you remember me saying that these Fords, they do have increments of 0 to 10 millibars, I think. I don't know, I'm scratching my head now. They do have increments of 10, so it could be 8 millibars a tick over, if that makes sense. If that makes sense to you. Now I did take the vehicle for a little bit of a test drive, and I'll show you some more live data. Now if you have a look at the top corner, we've got the DPF pressure, the engine speed and the vehicle speed. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it, but as we're driving it is rising and falling. Say at 2000 RPM, well, 2400 RPM, we've got 9 kPa, so which is about 90 millibars. I'm fairly happy with that, to be honest with you. But however, I did notice, if we go back to this one here, this is the last one, and I did notice that the temperature of the engine, which is fluctuating on the gauge a little bit. Engine RPM, cooling speed, different range. Let's go to that one. If we have a little look, now bearing in mind I'd been all out in the car for about 20 minutes with it revving as well for about 10-15 minutes, clearing the DPF. So this engine now is, I'd have thought it would have been an operating temperature 90 degrees plus. But if we have a little look, I only did a short one because I only noticed it as I was pulling over. Now if we go around, we're doing 38 mile an hour and we're reading 74 degrees C at 1500 RPM, and of course it is at 2 kPa, so that's at 20 millibars. But if we just pull it over now, hang on, let me go into graph. As you can see, I'm driving, vehicle speed bottom right, driving along now, and I'm pulling back into the garage, and we park back on the ramp. If you can see, vehicle stationary. Now if we go up to that one there, now it's probably ticking over for about 10 minutes before it gets to, oh yeah, what was that there? Oh, I must have revved it. Yeah, I've revved it. If we go back, we're just getting now to 86 degrees. So this is why you should always record live data when you go on a test drive, especially with DPF blocking and stuff. I'm fairly confident what I've done today has fixed it, but I'm going to tell the customer to keep their eye on that temperature gauge, and if they do notice it fluctuating, we might have to have it back in and possibly put a thermostat in it to start off with, because if the engine isn't seeing, if the ECU isn't seeing the desired temperature of 90 degrees, which is normal operating temperature, that DPF won't regen. So when you're doing DPF stuff, it's alright, oh yeah, we can clean it, but there's lots of stuff that you need to be checking regarding sensors, temperatures. Temperature is the main thing. Temperature, if it's not getting up to temperature, it's not seeing the right temperature internally, externally, it's never going to regenerate itself. And that even goes down to the amount of fuel that you have in the tank. You always need to remember the quarter of a tank below, it won't regen. Don't know why, it just won't. Now I've only been for a good 20-minute test drive in this car. I haven't got time to be taking it for an hour, 2-hour test drive. So I think the best thing for me to do is give the customer the car back and see how they get all on with it over the next couple of days. But before we do, bearing in mind I've been for a test drive, if we do another high-speed scan on it now, I haven't cleared any codes. I'm not trying to fool you, I'm not trying to kid you, this is as it is. And we've got everything nice and green. So I'm going to pre-post, change that to post. We're going to save that report now, so we can give it to the customer and say, look, this is what we found, this is what we fixed, this is what possibly could need replacing as well, which is a temperature thermostat. So yeah, that is a little bit of a different video to what I normally do. But we do like the diag stuff as well. I like being a little bit of a detective and actually seeing what's going on with stuff. Have we fixed it? Yes, ish. DPF's now clean, not in limp mode, got no lights on. I'm happy with the live data apart from the temperature, which is fluctuating, which I've already explained to you that I'm going to put across to the customer. What more can I do? So yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and we'll get it sent.